3 weeks ago, a 29-year-old named Rachel filed a single form with the IRS. One page. Took her 11 minutes. That form just guaranteed her 2-year-old daughter will have over $1 million by age 28. Rachel didn't hack anything. She didn't break any laws. She just knew about a document most parents have never heard of. This video is about that form and why financial advisors are quietly furious it exists. Let's start with what nobody is explaining clearly. Buried in the legislation everyone was arguing about, there's a section called 530A accounts. Think of it like a Roth IRA, except it doesn't require your child to have a job. For the first time in history, you can open a tax-advantaged retirement account for a baby who has earned exactly $0. The government will even give you $1,000 to start if your child was born between 2025 and 2028. Not a loan, a gift. Free money from the Treasury deposited directly into your kid's account just for opening it before they turn 3. Here's why this matters and why you probably haven't heard about it. Most financial advisors make their living charging fees on the accounts they manage, usually 1 to 2% of whatever you invest. They take that percentage every single year, regardless of whether your investment goes up or down. It's how they pay their mortgages and car payments. The 530A accounts have a legal fee cap of 0.10%, 1/10 of what advisors normally charge. A typical advisor managing a $50,000 account would normally earn $500 to $1,000 per year. On a 530A account managing that same $50,000, they'd earn $50. They literally cannot afford to recommend these accounts because the fee structure doesn't support their business model. So, they don't mention them. Not because the accounts are bad, because the accounts don't pay them enough to make it worth their time. That's the first advantage nobody talks about, the fee cap. When you're investing money that will compound for 25 or 30 years, fees matter more than almost anything else. A 1% annual fee doesn't sound like much, but over 28 years, that 1% difference between a typical account and a 530A account is the difference between your child having $950,000 versus $1,100,000. Same contributions, same returns, $150,000 difference purely from fees eating into compound growth. The fee cap isn't a small detail, it's the structural advantage that makes the math work. Here's the second advantage, and this one is genuinely unusual. Certain employers have announced they will match contributions to these accounts. Not all employers, but major companies. Uber has announced a match program. Dell has one. IBM has one. Think about what that means. Your 4-year-old who has never worked a day in their life can receive employer matching contributions to a retirement account because you work somewhere that offers this benefit. It's a 401k for a toddler. You put in $2,000, your employer puts in another $1,000, and your child just received $3,000 in retirement contributions before kindergarten. This didn't exist 6 months ago. It exists now because of how the legislation was structured to incentivize early savings. Let's talk about the math, because the numbers are the reason this matters. The annual contribution limit is $5,000 per child. If you receive the $1,000 seed money for a child born in the eligible window, and you contribute the maximum $5,000 every year from birth to age 18, your child will have contributed $91,000 total. $90,000 from you, plus the $1,000 seed. Now, here's the critical part you need to understand. The $1.1 million projection assumes your investments earn an average of 10% per year. That's based on historical S&P 500 returns over the past century. But that's an average. Some years the market is up 30%, some years it's down 20%. There is absolutely no guarantee your child's account will earn 10%. It could earn more, it could earn significantly less. Market returns are unpredictable, and past performance never guarantees future results. But if we use that 10% historical average as a reasonable baseline and apply it to $91,000 in contributions made over 18 years, then sitting in a low-cost index fund for another 10 years until age 28, the compound interest math produces approximately $1,100,000. That calculation comes from the White House Council of Economic Advisors using standard compound growth formulas and historical return data. It's not a promise, it's a projection based on historical patterns that may or may not continue. Your child could be a millionaire at age 28 with 18 years of $5,000 contributions if historical return patterns continue performing similarly to how they've performed historically. Most people spend more than $5,000 per year on car payments over the same period. The car will be worthless in 10 years. The retirement account has the potential to be worth over $1 million if historical return patterns hold. This is the power of starting at age 0 instead of age 25. Those 25 extra years of compounding time do more wealth building than almost any other variable you can control, assuming markets cooperate. Here's how you actually open one of these accounts, because knowing about it doesn't help if you don't know the process. You have 3 options, and the government made this surprisingly straightforward. Option 1 is attach Form 4547 to your 2025 tax return. If you're filing this year, you can include it with your return, and the IRS will process them both together. Option 2 is submit Form 4547 separately to the IRS, even if you're not filing a tax return this year. You can mail it or submit it electronically through certain providers. Option 3 is wait until July 2026 when the government launches the online portal at trumpaccounts.gov, where you can open the account directly without any paper forms. Most people will probably use option 3 because it's digital and straightforward. But if you want the $1,000 seed money and your child was born in the eligible window, you cannot wait until after they turn 3. The seed money eligibility expires at age 3. So if your child is already 2, you might want to file the form now rather than waiting for July. The form itself is 1 page. It asks for your information, your child's information, and the financial institution where you want the account opened. The critical part is Part 3, Line 7. There's a checkbox that says you're claiming the startup contribution. If you don't check that box, you lose the free $1,000 permanently. Read the form, check the box. Don't leave free money on the table because you skimmed past a checkbox. Once the account is open, you need to fund it. The $5,000 annual limit is per child, not per parent. So if you have 3 kids, you can contribute $5,000 to each of them every year. The money goes into the account and you direct how it's invested. Most people will choose a target date fund or a simple S&P 500 index fund. The account grows tax-free. Your child cannot withdraw the money without penalties until retirement age, just like a traditional IRA. But unlike a traditional IRA, they're starting at age 0, which means they have 60+ years of compounding instead of 30 or 40. Here's what this actually means in practical terms. Imagine you're 32 years old with a 1-year-old daughter. You open a 530A account today. You contribute $5,000 this year and every year until she turns 18. You stop contributing after that. She never adds another dollar herself. If the account earns returns similar to historical market averages, by the time she's 28 and just starting her career, she could have over $1 million already growing. By the time she actually retires at 65, if she leaves it untouched, that account could potentially be worth over $20 million, again, assuming historical return patterns continue. Your 18 years of $5,000 contributions could create generational wealth because you started when compound interest had maximum time to operate. But understand, these are projections based on historical data, not guarantees. Markets can and do underperform historical averages for extended periods. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-slowly strategy that has worked historically but carries no guarantees. The catch is, you have to know it exists and you have to actually do it. Most people won't, not because they can't afford $5,000 per year, because they don't know these accounts exist, or they'll hear about them and never actually file the paperwork. The difference between financial success and financial struggle often isn't income or intelligence. It's knowing which forms to file and actually filing them. Rachel filed Form 4547 3 weeks ago. Her daughter is 2. She claimed the $1,000 seed money. She set up automatic monthly contributions of $416 to hit the $5,000 annual maximum. She chose a target date fund with a 0.07% fee. Her daughter doesn't know any of this happened, but if historical market returns continue, when that little girl turns 28, she could have over $1 million that her mother built with paperwork and patience. That's potential generational wealth creation, not through inheritance, not through some business windfall, through understanding the system and using the advantages the system offers to people who know they exist. The system is built on most people not reading the fine print. The 530A accounts are in the fine print. Financial advisors won't bring them up because the fee structure doesn't work for their business. The government isn't advertising them because bureaucracies don't advertise. You have to know to look. Now you know. The question is whether you'll actually do something with that knowledge or whether you let this be another thing you learned about and never acted on. If you have a child under 18 or you're planning to have children, this could be one of the highest return actions you can take for their financial future, assuming markets cooperate. 18 years of contributions, decades of compound growth, potentially over $1 million if historical patterns hold. The form is one page. The time investment is under an hour to set everything up. The potential return on that hour could be generational. File the form, fund the account, let compound interest do what it has historically done when given maximum time. Your kid could thank you when they're 28 and financially ahead while their peers are just starting to think about retirement savings. Important disclaimer. All projected returns in this video assume a 10% average annual return based on historical S&P 500 performance. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Actual returns may be higher or lower. Markets can lose value. This is educational content, not financial advice. Consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions.